G'day guys, my name's Joe, and over the past 10 months I've built a mobile food business that's generated over $100,000 in revenue. And one thing that I've learned is that not all income streams are created equal. Now in this video I just want to break down some of the different income streams that we've trialed. It might be very worthwhile to some people out there to go over these. So basically, the three that I want to talk about today is markets, roadside vending, and catering slash, I guess, other private events. So let's get cracking into this one. Now, the first one that I want to talk about is markets. These are very high competition events, lots of foot traffic, lots of exposure for your food truck or mobile food business. I see it as a very high risk, high reward. A lot of these markets, they want a lot of money. I've seen some where you have to lock in a non-refundable, fee of $600. Some of them are very, very expensive. And if you get rained out, then they often hold on to that money and allow you to roll it forward to sometimes 12 months away. So your money's essentially gone. There's markets on pretty much every weekend, especially where we are. A lot of them you'll have to travel for. But one thing that I guess has always kind of frustrated me with markets is you have to spend time finding these markets and then applying to these markets. And, it can take you a while. So just consider your time when applying. The pro, I guess, for markets is there is opportunity to generate a lot of income from markets. But it's probably been like 50-50 for me. Some have been good and some have been pretty average, where I've just maybe made my site fee plus like enough to pay produce. So not too great. Moving on from that though, roadside vending. Now, this is quite literally the backbone of our business. And the reason why is because it's community driven. You have repeat customers. It's predictable. You can scale on repeating business, right? It's easier to create systems. There's lower operational fees and stress that comes along with that. And essentially you're building territory versus chasing crowds with markets, right? So you kind of become, I guess, the food truck in your area if you build it correctly and you're consistent. With that being said, you have to be consistent. You have to show up when it's raining. You can't miss anything, because I think psychologically people get into a routine, say like a Monday night, they know that you're going to be there. However, if you miss one, their routine breaks, right? And so then they go, okay, well, why don't we go try pizza tonight, right? They go to pizza, they enjoy it, and then that becomes their routine. So it's almost like it takes you a few weeks to catch back up if you miss a day here or there. So just be mindful, you want to be very consistent. If you can't make it, you have to maybe try and find someone that can work for you. So yeah, it's a slower growth initially. Sometimes it takes 4 to 6 weeks to really test that site, make sure that it is worthwhile. Really see that through, because we've definitely had days where we've opened and we've made $1,200, but then like last night we tested a new site and we made $600, right? We typically will see a site through for at least 4 to 6 weeks before we decide to move on. There is much more council compliance and regulation, making sure that you are, doing the right thing, you're parking where you're supposed to be, you've got all the right legislation behind you. Visibility matters, right? You need to make sure that you're seen and that, you're at least interesting to people coming by. But then there's one more thing that I want to talk about, one more income stream, and that's events or catering. private events and catering. So this is an interesting one because this is often seen from the outside as like easy, big money, right? But the truth is that it is high pressure, much higher operational complexity. There is, I guess, a bigger consequences if you make mistakes, right, with this, because you're essentially putting your brand on the line as a premium brand, and it needs to be a premium brand. It's harder to systematize, creating systems around it, you know. It doesn't mean that you can't do it. It's just harder than creating, like going to roadside vending. And it can be lifestyle consuming, making sure that, you know, you're working your evenings, your Friday, Saturday nights when events are usually held. But higher revenue, you're locking in an income before the day even comes. You're reducing waste. It's not weather dependent, and you're a premium brand positioning, right? You're putting your premium brand out there, premium product. So it's very good, right? So where do I think a new business should start? I think trying to lock in a rotation is the best way of going, especially if you're wanting predictable income. The way that we started our business is I essentially filled out the weekdays because I knew in a way that would be the hardest thing to do, right? So that way, until we lock in the weekend, I had a predictable income coming in Monday through Friday. And then, you know, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday is when the markets are. It wouldn't matter if the markets did well or if it did poorly because the backbone was the rotation. Markets are good. You just have to find the right ones for you. Consider how far you got to drive, how much prep you'll have to do. You might just lose a whole day. For us, when it comes to roadside vending, we operate 4 till 7. So that gives me about half of the day to run around doing admin, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so it's much more, roadside vending in my opinion is much more lifestyle friendly because you can build it around how you want to do it. I think a mix of the two is a great way to start. And once you get confident and you're able to manage large crowds, then you can probably look at catering. And that's where we're at right now. We've just done our first event over the weekend. The fee was $2,500. That was to feed 100 people at $25 per head. And we did really, really good. We've had maybe 4 inquiries come through for weddings since then. But now the problem is, okay, great, catering is coming to us. We're getting people locking in the operational fees to secure us. But then that means we're going to have to step away from our weekly rotation. And like I said earlier, you step away for one day, people build new routines, and then it takes you a week or 2 to catch back up, you know? So for us now, being where we are currently, we're looking at putting in place a marquee, right? So we're talking with the council currently. Basically, it's going to allow us to run the same menu, the same staff, the same systems, just under a marquee. What that means is I can now, at least I can look into when I get the approval I can, but it means I can look into operating an event whilst operating roadside, right? 2 different places at the same time doing the same menu. And I think that is probably the next step for our business right now, because we have built systems and we are standardizing everything that we do. That's what my manager is doing right now. And so, yeah, there's different ways of doing it. There's actually a 4th way, which is where you go to concerts and, those types of major mass events. However, their site fees are usually about 22% of your gross sales. Now, once you factor in your fuel, your staff, your produce, your GST, it's not really worth it, in my opinion. But with that being said, they are the different income streams. I've given you a bit of a taste of what it's been like for us, where our journey is next. And if you like what you see, guys, please follow along. I'm being very transparent about everything that we do. And I think it's really good for new businesses to see what we do, or even businesses that are established that maybe just want to make a bit of a change. So yeah, if you want to follow our business, we're called Wanna Smash. On Facebook, it's Wanna Smash Street Food. Instagram, wannasmash.au. And with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a good day. Bye.